Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Dynamic Duo. And man, we have a special episode today because it's a little bit of a mix of this and rant. Everyone forgot
Rant, rave.
Repeat. See,
rant.
that's why I asked. Are we doing anything?
I-
I
thought
don't
you.
worry, I'll do it all. Don't worry, guys.
I thought you would just remember. I thought it'd be like muscle memory, but no. So if Liam gets on a bike, he just fucking falls off. Apparently, look out, guys.
Oh, you can edit it to make it
Wow.
work.
No, I
Yeah,
won't.
there we go. Okay,
Nope.
let's try it again.
Okay.
Okay, what are we doing here?
Rant.
Rave.
Rave. Repeat. Wait,
Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't guessed, I teased this at the beginning of 2020. Oh man, I'm so trained. I'm looking at the camera and this isn't even recording. As you guys see, did you see? I'm like looking up here. This
Yeah, no,
is this is Dynamic Do This Rant Repeat. I teased at 2020 that we would do. We try to. Life's been crazy, but our goal is once a month to try and get together and do the 3 original members. And this is the first time it's happening. And what is it? March. So not too bad. You know, we 2 months late, but you know, there's been pandemics. There's been
some circumstances.
yeah. Kyle's been running over Australia, things like that. So we're making do. So I'm Travis Snell. I'm joined by Liam. You go first because Kyle's drinking.
Okay, by Liam Krogan.
There you go. And
And Kyle Smith, as you heard.
boom, perfect. So yeah. So today we're gonna talk. First of all, I'm gonna ask just for the viewers, how's life going? I know we talked a bit before the cast, but then what we're gonna do today is because there's not much news. Usually before we talk about news and talk about maybe a new movie that come out, nothing's coming out. There's no news happening other than just bad news every day. So we decided. What?
Every movie has shut down filming, so I guess
Yeah.
that's the news we can talk about.
I know. Batman is.
Mandalorian season 2.
Mandalorian season 2 is ready to
Oh.
go. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's what we need. Some more mediocrity.
Remember, Liam's a hipster now. He hates anything Disney, even though he was praising the fuck out of Onward before this cast
Yeah,
started.
no, I was. I
caught
just
him.
hate everything that Disney did with Star Wars. I still like
Oh.
Pixar.
Yeah.
Pixar is delightful.
Okay,
Onward was like top five Pixar.
You say Star Wars, and I'm gonna say this while Kyle's on the show too. Why can't you just fucking watch Endgame already? Just one. We're asking you to watch one. We're asking you to watch. We're asking you to watch one more MCU.
Over a year.
We're asking you to watch
No.
one more MCU movie, and that's it. You can just quit after that. But watch the fucking finale part. You know.
You know what? I honestly like. I saw. So what, first game was Avenger. What was the
First game, Infinity War.
game? Infinity War. there we go.
Avengers first game.
And I saw it, and I was like, you know what? Okay, that's probably the best movie they could do. And then Captain Marvel came out, and I was like, I don't give a shit about that. That looks kind of lame. And it just, and then when Endgame came out, I was like, oh, I'll see it. I'll see it this weekend. And then all of a sudden it was out of theaters, and I just don't care enough to actually go see it. I know Tony Stark dies.
But it's all the other stuff.
I was over it by the time Infinity War came out, so it was just like, eh.
You love
But at least,
Thor.
at least finish it. Like,
Yeah.
have it. Like,
I feel like I did. I feel like I saw Infinity War.
you didn't.
No,
Everybody
you,
died.
you saw Captain Marvel. That can't be the
You
last
know what?
one.
I think.
No,
we
I didn't
would've
see
liked
Captain
it
Marvel.
anyways.
I saw the trailer for it and was like, that looks like shit.
Oh,
So I
see,
didn't see it.
that's terrible. I think he would like it because he loves Thor, and there's some great Thor content in Endgame.
No,
Yeah,
I
but
feel like
I
you'd
also
be
I
disappointed
don't like
in
the girl
Thor.
who plays Captain Marvel.
And
Brie Larson's
this, like,
great.
again,
I liked her in The Room. I've never seen her in anything else that I've been like, oh, Brie Larson. this
21
is
Jump
great.
Street. You guys love those films.
Yes, but not because of Brie Larson. No one is lining up, be like, fuck, do you see that Brie Larson comedy?
Oh,
And Jason Tatum's in it. Or
Jason Tatum.
Jason Tatum.
Well,
I combined
What, are you
Channing Tatum
watching
and
basketball
Jonah Hill.
now too, or what?
no, it's
I do.
canceled.
Man, without sports, holy shit, I have nothing to do in my life now. I hate it.
Endgame. This is the time, Liam. You have nothing else to watch. Just watch it for us. You know.
I have nothing
but
else to
how about
watch,
that?
and this is
Like-
still the least fun that I can imagine having. Is
That's a
watching
lie.
movie.
That's such a lie. There's so many other things you could watch that are worse than Endgame. Like Kyle said, you owe it to yourself. You
Yeah,
paid.
I should- the day after tomorrow.
So that's what Liam just talked about. That's what we're going to be talking about today because, like I said, there's not many movies. So on Patreon,
I'd rather watch The Day After Tomorrow than Endgame.
That's terrible. Like I said, Liam, you started Iron Man. You've read comics.
You already made me watch one shit movie in 2020, and that's the last I'm watching.
That I would think even Endgame, you liked Infinity War. It's the same directors. You like Civil War. You wouldn't watch Endgame and be like, "That's a shit movie." You would still be like, "Okay, that was entertaining." You know, we got to find a way to get him to watch this. I'm telling you, because like, just owe it to yourself. You 10 years ago, you started this. You paid copious amounts of money. You know. That's
I know,
it.
and
That's
now
all
I
got.
I don't want to. I don't know.
You can watch
It's
the
like
King of
I didn't
Fighters.
even.
Great movie. Great TV series, actually.
Oh man, I do actually want to watch that one. I'll watch that. I also didn't even see the last Star Wars either.
Well, that's fine.
That's fine.
Yeah, I'm not gonna fight.
Sorry. Oh, sorry, that's fine because I believe before it came out, you were like, "You gotta see how it ends," and now you're like, It turns out Liam was right. It was a clone, and it was a piece of shit."
Well, you know, like if I thought they weren't just gonna copy Return the Jedi beat by beat, so I had a bit more faith going into it. But that's where you can say I'm unbiased. I'm not saying you're like you gotta see Stars and you gotta see Endgame. I say Stars, I'm like, no, that's fine. You can see it, but Endgame, I'm not saying you gotta see it. You can't. But I'm saying like I think you owe it to yourself one day to put it on and just say, oh, you know what? Let's see the end of these characters. Even though if Tony Stark dies, it's about the journey. It's not the destination. You want to see it. You want to see some great acting, some great twists.
I feel like he's gonna hate it.
No, well, I think maybe now because he's just hipster, but
okay, but the amount of plot holes that I've heard people that are like diehards talk about, like I of all people would hate it. But
they don't exist.
You know what? At the end of Infinity War, all the characters that I like got disintegrated, and I know they all come back, which is one of the reasons I don't want to see it because I think that's a lame thing. All the ones that were left over, I'm kind of like, I don't really like Tony Stark. I don't really like Captain America.
You love Thor.
I like Thor, but besides that, I don't like. I really dislike Black Widow. I think she's boring. Like,
well, you'll love Endgame.
Remember? Well, she died. She should have a while ago. Do you remember? No. Do you remember?
It's a great scene, though.
It wasn't Infinity War. I think it was. No, it might have been Infinity War when she runs towards Thanos with the fucking taser, as if that's gonna work.
Well, you've not read his stats.
It's not gonna do enough damage. Don't worry, we brought a police grade taser with.
He's allergic to them. That's why. She knew. They found out. That's why you gotta watch Endgame. It all makes sense.
Allergic to electricity.
They go back in time. They talk to his teacher. Like, yeah, he's really allergic to earthbound tasers, and like, perfect.
Yeah, he's got a gluten allergy. So if you just like give him a piece of bread, he's toast.
Yeah, man, it's unfortunate. But yeah, as we talked about, we're gonna be talking about Day After Tomorrow because there's no movies to talk about. So what we did is you guys picked a few movies. I put a poll up. It was between Contagion, 28 Days Later, and the movie we're talking about today, Day After Tomorrow. So in a month from now, if we do this and there's still nothing to talk about, we'll probably just do one of those movies. But the people voted for Day After Tomorrow. So this is a movie that came out in 2004. It's directed by Roland Emmerich, starring Jake Gyllenhaal, Dennis Quaid. I would say honestly, if you haven't seen it, pause this, watch it, and then come here. Okay, watch it with some friends, and I'm going to start with Kyle because it was Kyle's choice, and I feel like Kyle enjoys this movie. I feel like I'm in kind of the middle, but I'm trying to be nice. But and I think Liam completely hates it. So Kyle,
wait, before Kyle says it, can I just ask Kyle a question? Kyle, when was the last time you saw this movie?
Probably 2005.
Okay, so we've been like, what, 14
years? 14 years, yeah.
It was a long time since I've seen this movie, that is for sure.
Okay,
So what I remember as a child and like when I first saw it, I think I really liked it. That was like way before we started doing these castings and like getting really into these movies. So rewatching it now like completely changed my mind a little bit about it, but I still think it was one of those fun-filled, dumb movies and classic product of its time, as we've talked about other shit movies we've seen before. Like with the writing and how they like build up certain storylines, like it's just so over the top and over like done. But then like that's just what early 2000s was. Well, like all those movies and like late 90s movies, they were all kind of bad, like but bad good type thing. I know it's kind of like a guilty pleasure, so I didn't mind it.
Yeah,
that was all right, but there's definitely a lot of like, what's the whole point of this movie? I still haven't figured it out.
Just to destroy stuff.
Just to waste 2 hours of my Saturday.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That Roland Emmerich.
I guess that's 1 hour less than Endgame, so that's fine.
Oh, there we go. See, there we go. Actually, you know what? It's funny. when Travis first said, "Okay, we're watching Day After Tomorrow," the first thing I did was Google the length of it, and I was like, "Okay, fuck, how long is this movie gonna be?" Because the last time I watched this was about 4 years ago during my undergrad, and I had an assignment, and the assignment was we had to watch this movie, and we had to disprove the climate science that they talk about in the movie.
Oh, whoa.
So I don't like this movie as a film, and I hate it even more as a representation of science.
That is fair.
Yeah, for me, I don't like. So obviously, I have some trivia too. I'll bring up at the end of the episode. I knew Liam was shitting on the science aspect. That didn't really bug me because I kind of just throw that out the window. I go, okay, this is some crazy fuck around movie. Like we just want to destroy stuff. And I think I still had a pretty good time with it in like a so bad it's good sort of way. I don't think it's a great movie. I don't know. It's just there's lots of dumb decisions and there's just lots of eye rolling stuff. Like even when these wolves get introduced later on, we'll talk about. There's always something that happens. I'm shaking my head. I'm like, okay, Dennis Quaid's entire story makes little sense, and we'll get into it. But it's just. Yeah, so I don't think it's a good movie, but I didn't hate watching it. But I also watched with Emily, and we kind of had some laughs. But yeah, it's I don't know. I guess it shows that like we're going through this terrible pandemic, but I guess this would be like a lot worse if we had this thing going on, like a global warming, like tsunamis and whatnot. So that was nice. I watched and be like, oh, it could be worse, I guess, you know. But other than that, I don't know when I'll see this movie again, if ever. I'm sure, because the reason I always say that if ever, I have kids, so then maybe there's a chance at something they go, I want to see Day After Tomorrow, and I go, okay, I guess we can watch it and whatnot. But I don't know. What if it has a huge resurgence? I don't know.
I don't know. It's top 10 in 2004. That's pretty cool.
It had a huge, yeah. I have that in trivia. The box office, so the budget was 125 million, and then the box office was over $500 million, 552 million. So, and that's 2004 money too. So that's even, that's pretty good. So that's probably like 700, 800, and maybe even close to 900 nowadays. So it did a good job. Yeah. So you don't think so, Liam? That's pretty impressive.
Well, just because something made money doesn't mean it did a good job.
I think from a business standpoint, if they're to make a movie, right? Yeah.
Makes good money.
Okay, so if it was a business, it did well, but it's not. It's a movie, and the movie
it's a bit all movies.
Business.
This is what Liam doesn't understand. He always attacks Disney, but apparently no other movie studio in the world is a business because every movie is made just to make money. They don't give a fuck about us. If it has to be good, that's great. Unless there's somebody making like a $50 indie movie with like a scarecrow, then I believe that guy's in it for just, the fans. But
no, see, I'll fight against that because there's no way The Irishman was made to make money.
I think it was, but I think it was made for Netflix to try and get some awards.
But I don't think it was made for money.
No, but if they won awards, that's a successful, right?
100%. And if you said that this special effects, this movie were revolutionary for the time, we're like, yeah, 100%. The special effects were really good in this movie. Even like the wolves didn't age that badly for a 15-year-old movie.
I'll push back. The wolves were fine. I think some of the destruction CGI was not the greatest, but I will.
When the reporter gets hit by the sign.
Oh my god! I have that in my notes. It's that and that's the thing. None of our main characters, other than like fucking Dennis Quaid's friend, dies. But like other than that, they're always
in the dumbest way.
100%. We'll get into that. But like all the major deaths are all just people we've never met. We meet them for 30 seconds. The reporter, that guy, the Asian guy, for some reason, who thinks it's smart. They're in Japan or Tokyo or somewhere, and there's a family under a taxi, and there's these huge ice shards falling, and he thinks it's a good idea to run from his cover to try and get them, and he just dies. They impale him, and he dies, and this family watches him die, and that's what I mean. We only meet people for 30 seconds. There's a struggle, and then they kill him off, except for any of our main characters. They all make it out A-okay.
Hey,
for some reason, they get to live when everyone else dies.
Yeah, but I will mention when you're talking about winning awards, Liam, the tornado destruction of Los Angeles was the final scene. In the final scene, won the best action sequence for the MTV Movie Awards. So there you go. It won some awards.
Wow, the Music Television Movie Award.
Oh yeah, but that award's now discontinued. So unfortunately, no more.
Does that even count as an accolade then if the awards are no longer around?
I guess that year, right? You know, like I'll have to see. I'll pull up. I imagine there's like some other awards it won, but yeah, it's Liam. Did you have anything more? Because I know we kind of buttoned your final thoughts, but did you have anything more before we get into specifics of this film?
You know what? So you had mentioned that it's a so bad it's good movie, and I can see why you would make that argument to be the middle ground, but it is so cliched.
Oh yeah.
100%.
It's not self-aware of its cliche.
No.
Oh no.
And because it's not self-aware, it's to me that's just bad. If it was more self-aware and it kind of knew how ridiculous it was, then it'd be like, this is hilarious. Like this is really good to watch. Like Batman versus Robin.
But
all the actors in that know how ridiculous this is, and they're kind of hamming it up. This is played so straight with absolutely no joy at all from anybody that it's like, it's just kind of a slog. Okay, I get it.
See, that's where I push back.
Big don't make any sense. At the end and smiled.
Oh, that was
That their whole love triangle is something. See, that's where I'll push back on something like a Batman and Robin. I don't think though they made that being like, we're gonna make this a so bad so good. To me, so bad so good is not someone on purpose like making a spoof. To me, it's like The Room, where it's like they made a movie, they thought it was great, and it's like, no, it's just fun to watch. Like you said, I think the cliches are what make it funny because the movie acts like it's the first time it's ever done this, like this love triangle, father and son stuff, someone getting cut, and we gotta get this thing before the wolves get us. Like they're all
medicine.
Yeah, they're all my favorite part, having my notes at one point, he's like, the friend's like, this is the penicillin, and Jake Gyllenhaal goes, how do you know? And the guy goes, it says penicillin on it. And that's where I want to start. I want to start with Jake Gyllenhaal's character. So this guy, they make out like, so his dad is, what is his dad again? What's the technical term?
He's a paleoclimatologist.
Okay, so his dad...
He studies ancient climate.
Yeah, so and he was really useful right now. That's good, right? Like, thank God for him.
Yeah.
He's gonna start spitting facts for us.
Yeah. So he's this really smart guy, right? He's working with the White House. Seems like he's really intelligent, and they try to set up that his son is also really intelligent too, right? He did this.
I don't think he's working with the White House.
Well, he does at some point, though, right?
He works for the National Atmospheric and Oceanic Service, so it's like the NAOO or something like that.
But I mean, like, he's the guy they bring in, right? He's the guy where the president's like, what's going on? Like, so he's the go-to guy. So he's high up. And the thing is, so his son, they're trying to play off like he's also really smart. He has this fucking dialogue about like, oh, well, I was taking this test and I knew all the answers. I did them in my head. And the teacher said, like, why didn't you write them? He's like, I have them all up here. I wish I fucking knew that trick. I would have done that all of high school. Like, no, I don't need to write them down. All the solutions up here, big boy. Like, that's such a bullshit answer. And because the thing is, there's so many times with that penicillin bottle, I'm like, when he asks, like, how do you know it's penicillin? And there's another time where the lady, the girl that he likes, her leg's cut and she's starting to die, right? And the older lady's like reading the symptoms of what a cut could be. And they're like, oh, it could be this and it could be this. And clearly it's going to be, the last thing is, and then she goes, or we need to, and she pauses because she's going to say amputate the leg. And Jake Gyllenhaal, who's supposed to be the super smart guy, goes like, why? What would happen to the leg? He can't figure out that the leg is going to have to be amputated. So throughout this movie, I feel like he's supposed to be a super smart guy. Here's my last point. So when he gets really cold, the girl, like, his shirt is off and she like kind of like makes it so skin touch skins. And then he goes, what are you doing? And she goes, body heat. He's like, where did you learn that? And it's like, I learned that in fucking grade 5. And Jake Gyllenhaal, this guy who's like a supposedly super smart character, doesn't know how body heat works and skin to skin. So I thought like him, and I also think he just was like sleepwalking through this movie. I think Jake Gyllenhaal is a great actor, but he didn't care, or I just think he had nothing to work with script-wise. So that's my points on Gyllenhaal.
I would say that he just didn't care.
Yeah.
But so that scene right there when they are touching, or they're like hugging each other to get the warmth, or whatever, and she, right after he says, how would you learn that? She goes, maybe you should have paid attention in class. Okay, I'm just going to say right now as a teacher, any kid that didn't pay attention in class is actually an idiot. And then it's like, well, I'm just like super smart, like just like no.
That was him.
And it was just like, okay, you're probably like an actual idiot. So I just didn't like his character.
No.
Also, like, why do you hate your dad? Your dad has like the coolest job ever. He gets to talk to the president.
He's not
like,
around.
When he's like, but he's
it's
late
that
for
trope.
the thing. hey, I'm so sorry, I had to go talk to the actual president of the United States.
But
It's not
remember,
just like
he's just
like Jim
supposedly
Carrey and liar, liar.
the dad's never around, right? Because even Dennis Quaid is like, I wish I spent more time with my son or whatever, right? So even though that kind of sounded like Liam Neeson, so I apologize to the listeners, but that's they're going for that trope, right? Like kind of deadbeat dad not around, work's more
Yeah, I
important
guess
than
that's
family.
the trope. But then they even talk about it. He goes, yeah, then I went to Greenland with my dad, and it was like this amazing
Yeah.
trip of just us together. And you're like, oh, so you do have the option to go on these trips, and you understand that his job's complicated. Also, your mom's a fucking pediatrician. Do you think she's really home a whole lot of the time too?
She
Like
still comes home at
she's
some
not doing
point,
it
you know.
9 to 5.
No, that's
She's the
true.
one that manages to stay with cancer kids too, when everybody else, including that girl's parents, just leaves her in the hospital.
Kyle, what were your thoughts on Jake Gyllenhaal and his character? We'll get into like the female love interest too, but
I'll defend the movie here
okay.
because the kid's 17, 16 years old. All kids think they're smarter than they actually are at that age, and they're really just they're just dumb as fuck. So you just have to roll with it. You know, he might say, "Oh, I did it in my head" or whatever. He's trying to be sly and smart, but really, he's just dumb. Because obviously he's still like saying like all this stuff, but you know he still listens to his dad at the end of the day. So he's just still rolling with whatever his dad's saying. I'm just still confused why his dad would travel all that way to go get him.
Let's talk
Anyway.
about that. No, yeah, finish on Jake. Finish on Jake. Let him finish on Jake.
Anyways, I just think this is just an early movie, and I think maybe as a kid I remember like looking at this kid like at him, be like, oh, I want to be like that. Like he seems like he knows everything type thing. But now like rewatching this, I'm like, what is this guy doing? But some of the lines I didn't mind. I think it's just super cheesy, and again, like this is gonna be my like tagline for this whole cast is it's just a product of its time, and it's just the writing and it's just the style that they like present. I don't think like Jake Gyllenhaal didn't care or like the actors like didn't care. I think this is just like this is what it was, and this is the type of writing style that they were doing. So
hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're enjoying this episode of the Geek First Podcast. We're going to throw to some ads right now. So if you want to give you a fair minute warning, we don't get to choose the ads that come on here. So sometimes they can be a little bit loud. So I'm going to give you a nice 5-second countdown to turn down those headphones so you don't get a bleeding ear, or you know you're driving your car and all of a sudden you swerve into traffic. You don't want that. So help us support Geek First. Listen to these ads. Keep the lights on in here. But you got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We'll be back in a second. Yeah, I agree with you there. I think in these movies too, leads don't get much work, right? Like there's not much to do with them. I think they put in the love triangle to like give them some spice, but I don't even think that was needed, because when we get introduced to so he clearly likes this girl, and we get introduced to the, you know, hot young guy who's also the smart guy, and they kind of, I feel like for the first 50 minutes play him off kind of an asshole, but then that completely goes away and he's just kind of one of the gang, and he's a nice guy. He's looking for his brother. So I don't know. I didn't think the love triangle was even needed. They just could have been like the story just could have been he really likes this girl and he's trying to build up the courage to tell her. Not the oldest guy might make a move, because he never makes a move. He does make like he is like, oh, you could stay at my place, but he also invites all of them to stay at his place. It's not just like, oh well, she's at my place and the rest you can get at a hotel. So it was weird that first 15 minutes he's an asshole, but then after he's just a guy. He's just a guy that's also stuck with them, and they never really talk about love triangle. Nothing even happens. It just was odd choice to me.
Yeah, they were probably really proud of that subversion of the trope. Hey, we have like a rich douchebag. Don't worry, we'll make him just a regular guy. They won't see that coming.
And even
oh no!
And they do the classic, of course, when they're doing like questions and he answers and he like looks over his shoulder at her and they lock eyes, and Gyllenhaal's like on the side like watching this happen. It's just everything we've seen before. Yeah. Did we want to, because we've talked about them before we get to Dance Squad, did we want to talk about any of their, like his friends? He was with the, you know, the two friends, then like we said, the third wheeler came on. Anything to do with that scenario, or just even Jake Gyllenhaal's story in general with the, you know, being locked in the church, stuff like that, or the library. Sorry,
public library.
Sorry, which could be a church, Liam. Many people walk in and they go, "This is my church," you know.
Well, no. It's just his whole story was just kind of like lame. Like, okay, so he's there for like a academic decathlon. Okay, then he gets stuck in like the church, or sorry, well, now you've got me saying it. The library, and then it's like, and then that shipping container comes in, so now we need to do that. And then for some reason, there's wolves in the middle of Manhattan. I don't know. Just like, Kyle.
Think about it. All the zoos get let go. Like all the animals go crazy.
That was a
Escape.
weird scene where all the animals all of a sudden knew
Yeah.
that a
The Ice
very
Age.
unique climate thing was about to happen, as if
You know
they
what?
all have it.
No,
I
that
actually
is
wrote
true,
that
though.
down.
That is
Animals
true,
don't
though.
have a sixth sense
They have a
about
sixth sense.
Oh boy.
not about up impending climate disasters. They could sense things in like changes in the magnetic frequency, if so, prior to earthquakes and things like that. But that is a geological event and not a climatological event. There's no way they'd be like, oh, here it comes. The sea's going to rise 25 meters. I've been saying this for years, haven't I, Other Seal, in the New York Zoo? Well, all the birds, for some reason, are
But
just
wouldn't they
migrating
sense like
inland.
something going on? Like,
It's just like that was just like such a cliche that every animal was losing their mind,
yeah.
except for the wolves. The wolves are like, we could do some good eating now, guys.
Oh yeah.
Want to get out of these cages.
Oh, so you'd mentioned earlier, Travis, about Dennis Quaid traveling to go save Jake Gyllenhaal
Hmm.
in like a seemingly unnecessary rescue attempt.
100%.
It doesn't
lives
make
of,
any
like-
sense.
Also, I looked it up because I was like, can you just walk from Washington to New York? I don't know if you could. Like, that seems like it's a long distance.
Everything's frozen
so
over.
to walk, it would take 84 hours.
That's
to
not
walk.
that
So
bad.
that's 4 days.
They had a tent. They had hot chocolate.
I think
Oh,
that's
I'm not
long
talking about the
as
guys that are actually
day.
doing like the trek. I'm talking about like Jake Gyllenhaal surviving in that fucking library with the wolves outside.
You
I don't
know,
know.
you know they ate those dead people that were frozen outside. They made a
Oh,
trip.
they 100% ate
That
those
cop
people.
that was like, "Don't listen to this white kid. Who's your dad? Fuck your dad." You know, like which. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
I'm a
I
traffic
probably
cop.
would be. I probably do the same.
That's what I
if
was gonna
was
ask you
that
guys.
cop.
Yeah, let's say you're in the scenario, you're in the library / church, and there's a guy that says, "Hey, my dad is working for this organization. He's talking with the White House. Blah blah blah. He knows this stuff. He says don't go outside or we're gonna freeze to death." What would you do? Because you've never met this person, right?
You know what I would say? You know, my dad's a lawyer and he's going to sue your dad, and then I would just walk away.
See, and that's Kyle, 100%. You win that scenario. You gotta walk out with your great khaki shorts and just like stroll
Yeah.
all the way to Florida.
Alpha, beta. Let's go.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't leave during a storm
Yeah.
personally, because it'd be like, no, guys, it's actually like currently a storm outside. Why leave now? We could at least wait till it abates and then we can all leave.
Yeah.
You
Well, I guess
idiot.
because they saw the other people walking, so they're like, they must know something. Let's follow them. But
Yeah, conformity to stupid people that live in a city.
hey, well, they all died on there, right? That was my problem. Where I'm not getting.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Let's
They
talk
all
about this virus
die.
thing.
Well, whatever. You know, they made the choice. I see. Before this movie, I would have walked out. But maybe after this movie, if some guy's like, "Oh, my dad," the worry is though that this guy's like a fucking serial killer, though, and he's just lying and he's getting ready for everyone to fall asleep, and he's just like, "Yeah, I've been waiting," or he's like,
Wait, that's
he's
your first go-to?
he's
That's
with
when
the
full of shit
wolves.
That he's secretly a serial killer.
No, I said that would be the case that I would believe him and be like, yeah, guys, let's stay here. And then when I wake up, I'm like tied to the bed and he's just like, welcome to the
Yeah.
jungle, baby. And it'd be
Yeah,
over.
he goes, this actually worked out really well for me because I had a big thing about killing people in libraries.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought he could bring out his Mysterio character and like save the day when he was running down the steps to go save that girl who
You-
for some reason had to go get that chick's purse.
Oh, I'm gonna bring that up after. You didn't even see Spider-Man, so don't throw the Mysterio joke at us. Come on.
That's
sir.
true. I didn't see Spider-Man.
It's fine. You can skip it. What was I gonna say? So yeah, so Dennis Quaid. So the thing is, so his son, if you didn't watch the movie, his son and his friends get stuck in this library, and he gets one phone call before the water destroys the power lines, and he calls his dad at home. Whose dad all the times he's not home, but luckily this time, thank goodness he's home, because if he wasn't, Jake could have never called him, right? So thank goodness he's actually home. So he calls him and he's like, "What to do?" Blah blah blah. And then Dennis Quaid's idea is with his two buddies that he's gonna, like Liam said, walk from Washington to New York. It's gonna take him about 4 days. So here's the thing. On the phone call, Dennis Quaid gives him all the information he needs, how to stay alive, what to do. And the cherry on top is Dennis Quaid goes to the president and that team and vice president. And he goes, my son is in this location and there are survivors. So then what happens in this movie? Dennis Quaid walks the 4 days. He one of his friends dies, which we'll talk about the scene. It's stupid, but one of his friends dies on this trek. He gets there, and then what happens when he gets here? Oh, son, oh, dad, they hug, and then half an hour later, a helicopter picks him up. Not because Quaid was there, it's just because they already knew there were people in this library. So it made
Because they waited for the storm to abate.
Exactly. So he walked, and he lost one of his friends or coworkers, whatever the case was, for nothing. He lost him for nothing.
Died a pretty horrible death too, like
terrible,
falling into the Mall of America.
So yeah, that was awful. What are you guys thought on that? Because it's weird that the whole movie depended. One of the plots was depending on this journey of Dennis Quaid, but the journey meant nothing. And that's where when the movie did end, I did lose a little of the so bad it's good because I just went, well, that was fucking stupid. At least I thought they should have done something where when he got there, there was one more thing that Dennis Quaid like helped out with that saved everybody. Like there was something with the weather, something that he had some gear where he could have been like, oh, let's say the doors were frozen and they couldn't get out or something like that. I wish they just gave him one more moment because the journey is just kind of pointless, you know?
Yeah,
No, I agree.
He had an interesting story starting from stupid base in Antarctica, which, so for those viewers out there, when you actually take an ice core sample, you actually go really deep into the ice. So you'd figure out right away if you're right above a goddamn chasm that you've only got 10 feet of ice to go through, because you drill down and be like, oh, guys, there's no point in doing it here. The ice isn't thick enough. They would measure that. So at the start of the movie, it was like, why did they build their base right on top of a one crevasse in the middle of a giant ice sheet? Dumb. Then he goes to New Delhi and he talks about a new ice age with the utmost certainty. No, that's not how that works. It was stupid. And then for some reason, Bilbo Baggins is there. And Bilbo Baggins is like, man, you're totally right. This is crazy, isn't it? And then just goes back to his piece of shit little hut in Scotland where he dies with those two cool guys.
You should leave. Oh, it's too late now. It's too late now. Well, it's your fucking fault, buddy. It's too late.
What do you mean it's too late now?
Dennis Quaid should pick him up on the way. Oh, I'm going to get my son. I'll be right over.
Oh, man, that's just stupid.
Yeah, Kyle, your thoughts on Dennis Quaid and his journey?
I think it was. Rewatching this movie just made it seem completely pointless. Of why did I just watch this? Like there was no reason for him to go there. He gave him all the information he needed to survive, and why risk your life when knowing how dangerous it is? Just knowing that he's going to be okay. Well, he's not going to be okay, but I guess he could have just been dead. Or like, how are you supposed to find your son in New York City during the storm and go through all these? Like, I don't know. I think it was just dumb. It really ruined the movie for me.
Yeah.
And to that end, I think you're right, Travis. Just like at the end of the day, there was nothing for like them to go off of. Like, oh, like he had to do that one more thing, or like what's his reasoning for this? Just reconnected with the sun, and then they just get a helicopter back to where they originally were before. And like, it just seemed pointless. The entire movie.
Yeah, it's like I said, I think they should have given one more thing. And I just think, because, other than that, so maybe he shows up to the library, but then if that helicopter doesn't come, does he just sit there and die with his son? Or does he have a bunch of these, like, snow trek outfits for all the 20 people in the library? Like, I don't, like, or imagine he's just like, I can take you and your like, new girlfriend, but the rest of them, you guys got to say, I'm sorry. I got nothing for you. And he's just like, they're like holding the door back. But like, it just.
Yeah, sorry, homeless guy, I guess you die.
Yeah. Because who are the ones that he stayed? The guy that had his whole like religious speech where he's not religious, but he has to save this Bible for mankind. And then we had that older lady who was like, just the helpful mom and whatnot.
And then there was another girl in there as well.
Yeah, she was talking to the Bible guy.
The librarian.
Yeah.
Plus the homeless dude and his dope dog.
Yeah.
Who apparently knew when everything important was about to happen.
Animals.
The dog would start barking. And then he'd be like, dog, you're not supposed to bark. And then everybody would look ominously at the window. Oh my God, a boat went by. Holy shit.
That makes sense, because would the boat still be upright like that? After massive tsunami?
That it could like go very nicely into a grid system without bumping the shit out of those buildings on either side of it. Probably not.
Imagine if that was
the one thing I was thinking when they're all running to the window to watch it. I'm like, oh, cool, a boat's going by. But they're acting like it's a sign of the apocalypse, and it's like, nah, man, there's water now. I guess a boat would float on it. It
Yeah.
didn't seem like it was crazy as much as like when the wolves came by, I'd be like, that's scary.
But only
But-
those three guys knew about the wolves, right? I don't think they shared that experience with the rest of them. They didn't want to spook everybody.
Yeah, no, this whole movie is like people just like not talking to each other,
Oh,
which
not
I
at
think
all.
is the laziest writing.
Yeah. Well,
Just because somebody doesn't mention something doesn't mean that's like, oh yeah, he just didn't want to tell you. Nope, just dumb.
well, and even then,
Just dumb.
I thought they were doing the thing when she was getting sick. I thought she didn't mention that she had like a cut on her leg, but one of the characters is like, she mentioned a few days ago she got a cut. So I think right away you'd be like, well, you check her temperature, wondering if she has a cold, but then right away you'd go to the leg. I feel like because especially I feel like she should have shown somebody because it was a pretty deep, like long cut. So the fact that she was just kind of like, oh, this is gonna buff out, as Kyle would say, I don't think was a smart strategy. So she kind of, and the other guy, he got bit by that wolf too, so he would need penicillin. There's enough in that bottle for both of them, right? You think?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Also, like getting
Maybe.
cut like that would hurt.
Oh
I
yeah.
think you would like. I would bitch about it for a couple days.
Adrenaline, maybe.
Like, oh yeah, it sucks to be cold, guys. But you know what else sucks? Having a giant wound from a taxi and being cold. So.
And the homeless
I should
guy's
get
like, it sucks being homeless.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, whatever. Yeah, I agree with Lee when he brought up the. I hated the how she got the cut. How she gets the cut, I absolutely hated that because you have that cop who's the worst cop in the world.
It sure he is.
He's like, I only speak English, and he's trying to explain. Like, all you have to do. So what? There's a girl, a woman, sorry, stuck in the cab with her child, and he's trying to tell the person that he's going to break down the window to get them out. But he's just sitting there. He doesn't know what to do. His hands are up. And then when the main character runs by the female, he's like, I only speak English. All you got to do is just like motion, like move back, like show you have something to hit the window with. Like it was the easiest thing to sign language. Like, I'm going to smash this window. Look out. But I thought it was the way they look at it. It looks like it's something else. Like, I thought she was going to have another kid, and she was trying to explain there's another kid. She or he is somewhere in here, blah, blah, blah. But when it was just, oh, yeah, I have to break open this window. Fuck, like, this cop is such an idiot.
Yeah, like I don't understand what you want. I bet she wants to get the fuck out of that cab, man. See that giant wall of water coming? Like, it doesn't take a whole lot of intelligence to be like, what do you mean you want to get out?
And the cherry on top of this situation is, so they get her out. They get the kid out. I got to find that main character's name, but Emily Rosen's the actress. She's like running with them. And then, because she knows how to speak, what was, because I watched the movie a few days ago, was she Spanish? She was French? Okay, she knows how to speak French. So then the French lady goes, oh, my passport's in there. Lady, that's not fucking important at all in this situation. I think they're going to let anybody travel. Like, imagine if the helicopter came to pick everyone up in the library. They're letting people in, and they start, ma'am, where's your passport? And she goes, oh, well, the tsunami took it in the cab. And they go, we can't take you with us, man. We're sorry. Like, it was so, like, out of everything, her be like, oh, my passport's in there. And she goes back. She should have died in that moment because you're an idiot going back to get someone's passport. You're not going to need it.
Especially for that point.
Oh, yeah, you're not going to need it at all.
It's a bit of a disaster. I bet you any, like, customs would be like, yeah,
We
don't worry. Yeah, we understand what happened.
Yeah.
That was crazy what happened. Like, we just lost like a whole continent.
Did you see that boat that went
A lot of
by?
people that day.
Oh, yeah.
Also, you know what's super weird? And like this kind of bothered me. Weather doesn't give a shit about national borders, but there was that one storm that was stuck in Canada
Oh, yeah.
for like the whole movie up until the end, and it was like, no, this would have like lasting impacts like across the entire seaboard. Storms don't give a shit about where borders are, nor do droughts or floods or anything like that. They don't care.
No, it's always about America. They care about America.
Yeah. Canada's all dead.
Yeah.
So that's nice. Or we don't even understand what happened. Like, oh, it was just a crazy freak storm in March. Don't worry, spring will come.
Yeah, that was weird. They never really gave a, because there's usually that moment where our main characters are in peril, they get saved, and they do that where they're going up the helicopter, everyone's looking down like the fuckers in Jurassic Park, like, oh, we just got out of here. And then usually you do that like cut to a few months later, like everyone getting back to normal life. So I thought it was going to show like Dennis Quaid and I've seen this movie, and I think the same thing as Kyle. I think I saw it 2005 because I didn't see it in the theaters, but I remember my auntie had like a huge TV, so she's like, "Oh, that's the first movie we're gonna watch." Blah blah. And it is like a fun spectacle movie. Like I will admit, it is fun just seeing tsunami just wreck like Manhattan, and it's visually. I think some effects. I think the ice effects are the lowest for me because there's just certain things that Dennis Quaid and his crew are doing. It looks, especially at the beginning, looks a little 2004-ish. But I've only seen this once a long time ago. But I thought, okay, we're gonna get Dennis Quaid at home more with the family. We're gonna get Jake Gyllenhaal and the lady like happy, and we're gonna see the rest of the world like recovering, or we're gonna see it melting or whatever. But we never did. So honestly, I don't want this. But you could have just made a sequel. You could have just made it like the day after. Well, I don't know. The
day after tomorrow,
or the week after the day after tomorrow, something like that shit, you know, or
fortnight past the event.
Yeah, or like whatever. How many years now? If they do a sequel now, it's like 15 years after the day after tomorrow. So like you could literally, the way this movie ends, you could just pause for it that these storms, they did say they would pass, but we don't know that. So it's like the world's still going bad, but no, they didn't give us an ending of like a happy end. Like they did give us a happy ending, but
also like temperature changes don't happen that fast, nor do like weathers form that quickly because it's impossible. Nor do storms form over land like they do in this movie, nor do you get like hurricanes on beaches because that's not. They need convection currents. You don't get convection currents next to bodies of water, and like it's weird. It's weird. It just it doesn't make any sense, Travis. But you can tell it was just like the whole movie was meant for like the end where it's like, guys, climate change is totally real, and we need to protect ourselves from it.
Yeah.
And it was like, was that the point of this whole fucking 100%? Movie?
Well, no. The point was just to make a quick $500 million and like disaster movie.
I think it was all about climate change at all. Like in 2004, I guess we were still talking about it, but not to the point where we are nowadays.
It definitely was though, because this was after, what the fuck was that Al Gore movie again?
No, it was before this Al Gore movie.
Really?
The Inconvenient Truth came out in 2006. What had actually happened, and I believe what Roland Emmerich is talking about, because there's a reason that the actual U.S. president is useless, and the vice president seems to have all the power, kind of akin to a George Bush-Dick Cheney relationship. But prior to George W. Bush, so the one that was president from 2000 to 2008, was that climate change was kind of his dad actually talked about how climate change in the 80s was going to be a big threat to America. But oil companies started to press him against this. And because of that, he actually took oil and gas off what is it in the states that controls their pollution? It's the Environmental Protection Agency. And he omitted them from polluting, even though they already knew climate change was going to happen. So, for example, a lot of like in the Gulf of Mexico, the giant sea rigs that they build to harvest oil, there's a reason that they're so high up, because they're already getting ready for increased sea level rise. So he was trying to talk about how Bush gave up climate policy. And then obviously now you guys know where we are today. Turns out that was a bad choice.
It's great.
Thanks for the educational detour.
No,
hey, that's what I do.
No, I meant it was a great choice.
Yeah, it was a great choice. And the educational detour just happens because that's me.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're enjoying this episode of the Geek First Podcast. We're going to throw to some ads right now. So if you want to give you a fair minute warning, we don't get to choose the ads that come on here. So sometimes they can be a little bit loud. So I'm going to give you a nice 5-second countdown to turn down those headphones so you don't get a bleeding ear, or you're driving your car and all of a sudden you swerve into traffic. You don't want that. So help us support Geek First. Listen to these ads. Keep the lights on in here. But you got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We'll be back in a second. Yeah, the reason I was wondering if it was before or after, because they casted the president because he looked like Al Gore. So that's why I was wondering. But obviously Gore was around being very public about this stuff. And I guess he would have been public because he ran, it was 2000. Yeah, it was 2000 when Bush. So he ran against Bush. So I guess he was probably talking a lot about that at the time, right? Even before.
Well, he was talking about it even when he was the vice president for Bill Clinton too.
Yeah,
he's been talking about it since like the 80s.
So I think that's the thing, like you
came into Congress,
like you said, Kyle. I don't think it was maybe made for that, but I think they wanted. I think they were trying to put something there, be like, oh, this is a message. I just don't think they do it really well, or it's just it's like
No.
2 lines. I think it's sometimes 2 lines, just like, we got to take better care of this earth because what we're doing is wrong. And then it'll like hard cut to like Jake Gyllenhaal running away from fucking like, I don't know, the wolves. So that's where it's just like, I think the message is buried, or it's like, so what would be like, it's drowned in it somewhere in that movie, or it's frozen in it, but I don't think it's the main point. I think the main point was, oh, put a message in there, but really we want to destroy some shit. Because this is a guy that did Independence Day.
Yeah.
So he like was having a bit, and he was Roland Emmerich. He's still like a name, but he was a massive name. Independence Day really brought him up, and he was known as like the destruction guy. He did another movie, which maybe we'll review one time, called 2012, which is kind of a sequel to this. Not really, but it's the same idea where the world is going to shit. Remember all those, 2012 was going to be the end of the world.
2012 was awesome.
Yeah, and it was going to be the end of the world. The movie's awesome, Liam?
Well, because that one seems to be like it's aware of itself.
Really?
This one wasn't.
I've never seen
you
it.
mentioned actually, I was going to bring it up earlier, but I fucking love Independence Day.
Yeah, that's
that
good.
movie knows what it is and runs with it. Like that final when Dennis Quaid's brother Randy Quaid flies that stupid like the crop duster right into the base of the alien ship to explode it from the inside. Like, it's so ridiculous, it works. This one just seemed like just a little too serious.
Oh yeah, for sure. They definitely. I think because it's, I don't know, because that's like this isn't really an action movie, right? I guess it has.
No.
It's just a danger movie. We're in Independence Day. You got aliens. You got Will Smith. You got ships flying. Everything like that. But yeah, maybe we'll watch 2012 at some point because I think Liam saying it's a good movie that's some tough pill to swallow.
Sorry, let me rephrase that.
Sorry, you said a great movie. You said great movie.
Good disaster movie.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
No, it's a good it's a good disaster movie in a sense. Endgame, because there's lots of disaster. Yeah, you should check that one out. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it was like, hey, how can we get every person to stop caring about the series? Guys, I have an idea.
Oh yeah, the biggest movie of all time. That's such a bullshit, and you know that. Let's see.
Well, I don't know, man. What wasn't the last comic book movie finally the first one to actually lose money? Was it Birds of Prey?
No, Birds of Prey didn't lose money. I don't know.
Did it make money?
Well,
I've never seen it. Is it good?
Kyle, you're gonna love it. Liam, he hates it. He'll hate anything, nowadays.
That's not true.
If it has,
I mean, actually, no, that's not true. I will hate anything, but it needs to be deserving of hate first.
No, it made money, but it came below expectations. But Kyle, you see it, and I would have told Liam to see it because I think it's like Deadpool, where it's a great breakup movie. It's kind of that fun. It's the reverse where Deadpool's like a romantic movie, but then again, Liam hates those fucking romantic too in Deadpool. So I don't know.
Yeah, I do.
Go watch 2012 again.
Part of that movie.
Kyle, do you have any thoughts on any of the science stuff Liam was throwing out? He's talking a lot. You're talking about the messaging. Anywhere else new topic you want to go to that we haven't touched upon?
I just like how everyone started immigrating to Mexico, and then Mexico's like,
funny.
Nah, we don't want you guys.
Fuck you.
And then I thought it was just kind of hilarious how, this whole immigration thing happens for people who are like always trying to get into the U.S. and now like the borders, the ties have switched and everyone starts freaking out because they can't get into there, which is kind of like, I don't know, I kind of like that stuff. I think it's kind of interesting to see another point of view of what if this would have gone this route, I should say. And then also it's like, oh, the only reason why like Mexico let us in is because they forgave all of Latin America, it's like U.S. debt that they had to the U.S. so they can allow all these people to come in, which was kind of random, but sure, I'll just roll with it.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay, that's a weird concept of foreign aid works, but all right.
Yeah, so I don't really have anything much more. I think to kind of go back, way back again, you talked about the cut. It's kind of like if you cut yourself, all this stuff is going on, it's probably hard to tell like that or remember that you did cut yourself and you've probably forgotten about it and you've just moved on with the pain, or maybe the pain goes away with all this adrenaline, like the city is flooding and it's snowing and all this crazy crap. So I could see how her getting sick and an infection, but for an infection to kick within like 3 or 4 days, it must be pretty good, or she must need a tetanus shot on top of that penicillin.
Oh yeah.
So, but like that's more on like the medical side, but that doesn't make, you still roll with it because at the end of the day, like this is just like a blockbuster movie, and that's just what it's trying to be, is show like this is the whole end of the world / it's more like the end of the U.S.
Yeah,
And
and a
for
little of
some reason,
Canada.
even though all of Europe gets buried
Yes.
under like 15 feet of snow, like
Yeah.
that can't be great.
Yeah. All in the northern hemisphere, so who knows?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Liam, do you have any specific points? I have some other notes of little things to show, but no big things. So we talked about Dennis Quaid. We've talked about the only other thing that I thought was weird, and I guess they even said this. I have this in trivia. Okay, very nice. Liam has written notes. So
No, stop it.
weird flex. So, I haven't seen Endgame. I got notes. Look at me. So
I
I.
took notes up day after tomorrow.
What was I gonna say? So they say this in the trivia
That's
that
livelihood.
they were trying to make parallels to Bush and Cheney, and you can kind of see that where, like the president of this movie is very kind of nonchalant. He doesn't know what's going on. Really, it seems like he has no idea. But then the vice president's just very hard. But another thing I don't know if it was needed. There's clearly at some points where Dennis Quaid said, "Hey, this stuff's maybe gonna happen," and then it happens. But then the vice president is still just like, I don't know if we should listen to him anymore. But it's like everything he said became true. So that's usually the part where you go, oh, he's right. And eventually the vice president does go, oh, he's right. But I felt like it took way too long. And then they got to drop these things like, his son's in New York, so you should listen to what he's saying because it's not easy for him. And it's just like, I think it made the vice president just seem dumb after that. I get at first you'd be a little careful because maybe this guy's saying all this stuff but it might not come true, or maybe he's off base. But once it all starts happening the exact same way he's saying, and then still to be like, I don't know if we should listen to Mr. whatever the fucking character's name was. I didn't like any of that stuff.
Hull.
There you go, Jack Hole.
Hull.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, I didn't like any of the president. Kind of like the love triangle. I just didn't think it was neat. I think you could have even made this movie a bit shorter by cutting out some of that stuff.
Hell yeah, it could have been a bit shorter.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I think you just had the president go, "Oh, I don't believe this," and that happens. He goes, "You were right. You can do whatever you want," and boom, you move forward. But again, I think that was them trying to work in them, like, look at the establishment in America. Sometimes people don't listen to the people that are right. I think that's what they're going for.
Yeah, no, I think you're 100% on that one, Travis. And it's even more frustrating because if you actually take like the beats of this movie, okay, huge catastrophe happens. Guy could predicted this, and his son's now trapped in New York, and he's gonna go save him. You give me that elevator pitch, I'd see that movie. But none of those events connected in this thing to be interesting. I didn't care about Jake Gyllenhaal. I didn't care about his love interest. I didn't care about the dad. I thought the mom was kind of superfluous to the entire plot. Was she there just to be worried? I don't know.
Yeah, and I think that touched on home. And plus, she was supposed to be the bridge between the son and the father, to be that character of you're not home enough, or he's he misses you. That deal, right? That she was just a plot device. That's what she was. Just and you need someone we kind of know to every once in a while put the phone against their chest, like on the phone, like, "Are you seeing this, Amanda?" And she puts her phone against the chest and looks shocked at the TV, and yep, that's what she was there for.
Yeah. Oh, I guess that's it. Oh,
Yeah.
She had to stay with that cancer patient kid that was dying. That for some reason, like even her own parents were like, nah.
Everybody left her.
Everybody left her. It was so weird.
Yeah, there's some weird stuff in this movie, to be honest. Let's see. Liam, any other points or notes you wanted to shout out before we move into trivia, and we'll give our final thoughts and a rating if you want to drop it.
It's mostly just the science of the movie.
Okay.
Like, for example, like he's right about how if the ice sheets melt, that it could throw off the mid-Atlantic current, but because the reason that works is more fresh water is being added, but not as much salt, so then you end up kind of like an oil and water effect where it separates out, and then because of that, it would slow it down, which means less warm air would come, so it would get colder, but it doesn't happen in like 2 hours. That'd be so fucked up. Like nothing, the whole world would not be able to recover if this happened in 2 hours. Like, go to Mexico. Nope, Mexico's done too, because that's fucked. Because now there's absolutely no more currents in the ocean.
Yeah, I didn't. I was just going to comment. You go ahead.
No, when they're talking about the hurricanes, and it's like when they're in the center of those giant hurricanes, how for some reason it's like the air is so cold that it will freeze.
That's what I was going to bring up.
Die.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Gasoline doesn't freeze at zero though. It like humans would. It freezes between like -40 and -200 Celsius. So it would have to be really cold, and if it's already that cold, humanity's already dead. and air doesn't go down, it rises up because it's a low pressure system, nor do storms form over land. They form over warm water. So that doesn't make any sense. But geological timelines do not really work well in a 2-hour movie.
From
So
our
I'm
point of
willing to forget
view,
some of that.
listeners, from our point of view, we just see Liam, but then we just see this book cover his face, so he just looks like some fucking professor like teaching us a class right now. And we're just like, oh, this guy won't even see Endgame. What's going on?
Look what I wrote. I even wrote, "That's not how storms work." Fuck.
So yeah, I want to bring. Yeah, I didn't have any problem with any science of the movie because I'm not one that much in the sense, but two, I like I said at the beginning, I throw it. I go, oh, it's just a movie, whatever. But the whole "you will freeze in 10 seconds," that was a hard pill for me to swallow. That
Dumb.
literally, you will walk outside and just freeze. There's that one moment where those guys they land in a helicopter when they first are previewing before it gets to Jake Gyllenhaal's people. It's kind of like, okay, people are freezing, but it's getting closer and closer to us. They even do this scene where they outrun the freezing like walls and everything, like it's a fucking horror movie Ghost, which was very strange. But how we get initially set up is a helicopter. Yeah, a helicopter lands, and then they're like trying to get out, and or sorry, I think the window breaks, and their hands are just freezing, their faces are freezing, everything, and that's where I was like, okay, this is unbelievable. I get that maybe you could get at that point, but the fact that you could just freeze automatically. We'll pause. We'll pause for a second. The fact that you would just freeze automatically the second you make any contact with air was just ridiculous. And like I said, that whole cinematic of them running away from the freezing air, crazy. I was rolling my eyes.
Also, and I was trying to, because I remember before I went into the movie that I was like, oh yeah, and then that like big tsunami hits the city. How did the sea level rise that fast?
Big waves, man.
Yeah.
Big
waves, bruh. Come on.
Oh, big waves, bruh.
Fuck, let's get pitted.
You look out the window, you just see one like frozen surfboard on top of the like Empire State Building or something.
I was like,
spreading that fresh gnar. No, it was just because unless it's because like there's no way where does the water come from if it just rose 25 feet in like 2 hours, and then it got really cold, so then it wouldn't matter that the ice sheets melted because they would just refreeze because of all that extra water.
Yes. Well,
I
maybe
mean, the sea level would go down because there's less actual water.
How does tides work?
Well, tides work via the moon and its own gravitational pull pulling the water away. No, it was one of those things. I actually just thought about it when Travis was talking about it. That it's like, yeah, then over like 2 hours the water rise. And I was like, how the fuck does the water rise after 2 hours? Even this movie can confuse anyone with its sheer stupidity. But it's one of those movies. It was nice to actually like take my brain off and like watch something that wasn't involving a pandemic. Well, and it wasn't COVID, and it wasn't all my friends losing their jobs at small businesses, and it wasn't like how do I go back to work or is my grandma okay? It was stupid in a way that was actually relieving.
See, I got another movie for you.
Have you seen fucking Endgame? I'd rather watch Jurassic World unironically.
That's a lie. That's a lie. If
I
you
know,
had to
that movie also sucks.
But I was gonna say, all you guys are asking all these questions, why this and why that. All I have to say is, but why male models? You know that's the true question. Let's see. Any more science facts there, Liam?
Yeah, Dennis Quaid is in way too good a shape to be a scientist, just based on all the scientists I know.
That's
it. Wouldn't look. No, I'm being 100% serious. If he has to do his job, there's no way that he's maintaining a healthy diet and a proper workout regimen if every 2-3 weeks he's jetting off to another part of the world where he's writing research papers.
I don't think he was like Hugh Jackman, like jacked or anything like that. I thought he was just like a good.
He wasn't. He was just healthy looking. And I've never seen a scientist that healthy looking that does stuff like that. That is like in a room full of ice cores for like 12 hours a day.
It's all the time away from his family.
That's why he looks so young.
Yeah,
well, you know more than us.
Yeah, I'm stuck inside. My life's being drained from me. No, it's actually been pretty fun, and thankfully I got a lovely family and people that I don't hate. Some other people, I feel a little bad for them. So,
yeah.
Any more science facts, Liam?
No, I'm good on science facts.
Okay, so the only other note, the only thing I guess we didn't talk about in depth was that guy's death scene because we talked about he landed them all, but it was I don't know what Dennis Quaid's plan was when he's just like, hold on, I'm going to come get you. I did think it was a nice, brutal shot when the guy, and this will bring up one of my notes that I had a problem with, the guy had his hands on the glass and was starting to break and his hands were cutting. That looked pretty brutal. The amount of blood that was pouring from just his palms was maybe a tad much. I don't think it would happen.
Why did he take his gloves off?
That was my trivia note. In this movie, there is so many characters walking around there or in the library, folk that have their gloves all the time. At one point when they get it, so they are going to get the penicillin, and the second they get in the boat, a bunch of them and they take off the gloves. It's like, it should still be fucking cold in there. Like, all the windows are, it's not a closed off area. The wolves get in easily. No. And even then at one point, Gyllenhaal takes the gloves off, he sides them, and they go, oh, we can't get to this room. He's like, I'm going to climb up. And I go, okay. He climbs with just his bare hands. He doesn't put the gloves back on. So clearly, we all know this is movie magic that the set isn't actually cold, but it's like they didn't even care. They didn't even have a fact checker to be like, hey, maybe he should put his gloves on, just make it look a little believable. But no, people were freehanding it all over the place in this movie.
I actually wrote that down. It was the first thing I noticed when they were taking the ice core samples at the start of the movie, and I was like, why do they have ski goggles but not use them?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I can't even go out when it's -5. It hurts my eyes. There's no way in Antarctica.
-5.
It's so shiny. It's at least have some sunglasses on. God, man. And it looked really windy. It looked miserable. Put all your PPE on. Shit. What do they pay you to do?
Let's see. There's another note I had here that I thought was just some wild, I don't know if they were trying to be not artsy, but just a shot that was unnecessary. I don't know. It was so when everything's okay and the people are Jake Gyllenhaal and his team are on the flight and they're going to New York. There's this shot where everything's starting to go bad. The storm's starting, it's just getting a little rocky, but it's before it gets really bad. And they do this shot where it's a POV from the food cart, and the food cart is barreling down the aisle, and Jake looks at it.
Oh yeah.
And you see it barely misses. He's like, whoa! And then it hits the airplane attendant down the lane, and just there's screaming. It was just that I was fine. It's not oh, this is a point off or anything. It was a weird choice, especially just the POV. They're really trying to, from 0 to 100, ramp up the anticipation of oh, things are getting really bad. The food cart's out of control and almost took off Jake Gyllenhaal's head. Yes, if it hit him, it would have hurt him, of course, but they were trying to play it off like it was the fucking billboard taking off the newscaster. He's going to get a concussion from this, yeah. Maybe the worst, he might lose an eye, but it was just kind of, and even then, what the fuck is he doing? The amount of time he had his head hanging out there, I don't know, way too long.
Yeah, that was a weird scene too when I've been on planes with turbulence before. Typically, the hostesses do not panic. And no, it's fine, as they panic and run to their own seat and shittily draw the curtain so you can see them sitting down.
They're trying to get their seatbelts on too, and they're like, oh my, they've never put a seatbelt on in their life.
Also, I'm positive every time those carts move, they put a brake on them. So that
100%.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
Because that's actually so fucking dangerous.
Out of this whole experience, once the world got back to normal, that girl Nancy, she came back to the airline. They're like, hey, we knew what happened about the food cart, and we're gonna have to let you go. We know times are really tough.
No, she's dead. The whole plane's dead. All the pilots are dead. Everyone died.
Yeah, poor people. Yeah, they died because the food cart.
Yeah, all of LaGuardia just collapses in on them.
All right, so now I have trivia. So just some fun facts here. So, and Liam, you'll appreciate this. I thought of you right away. 20th Century Fox, which I didn't know, this is now a Disney movie. Liam, did you know that?
Yeah, it means that they're killing small town theaters now because now they can't show this beautiful film.
Oh boy, you know what else is a Disney movie, Liam?
Theaters can't rewatch The Day After Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
We're having a special every Tuesday, day after tomorrow night. Tuesday tomorrows. You know what else is a Disney movie, Liam?
Onward.
Endgame. Every day I'm gonna, until you see it, every time we podcast, that's gonna be the running joke.
Okay. Well, I guess I should get used to it then.
Yeah, he's gonna not do it now since you told him.
He already is not doing it. He's not doing it out of spite. But I will say.
I just gotta just slightly defend myself on this one.
Okay.
This isn't out of spite. It's literally apathy. It's that I care so little about it. That's why I don't want to even see it. Because it's it bothers me more that you're making fun of me for not seeing it than my desire to actually see it.
But we can watch it like using the Netflix Party app.
This is what I was going to
Oh,
suggest.
we could do that.
And we could record
That'd be
it.
crazy.
We won't do them there a little while, but you know what? It's a potential idea. I know it would be 3 hours of your day, Liam, but it could be worth it one day for us to sit down
And
and
you're
watch
in
together.
quarantine anyway, so who cares?
Yeah.
What else are you doing?
Just like learning a new skill, like a hobby, anything
Hmm.
besides watching that. Actually, speaking of Disney, and like obviously I don't like Disney, but I listened to a really good podcast about small town theaters and how Disney buying Fox has actually screwed them over for profit margins. Because like obviously Fox has a giant catalog such as The Day After Tomorrow, but now the way that Disney runs their licensing to theaters is way more strict than a lot of Fox subsidiaries are. So they've actually lost a huge amount of movies that they used to show, like things like the Rocky Horror Picture Show, midnight viewings of that are really popular, like the Rio in Vancouver or like the Regal theaters in Toronto and like Montreal and stuff. So I'm gonna send you guys that in our chat. It's a really, really good podcast, actually.
Yeah, I have read that because I know like lots of screenings got canceled. Like, oh, we're doing a Die Hard anniversary and this and that, but they can't do that anymore. But I don't know. I'm not the same as Liam. I always just go business is business, and someone's just trying to make money, right? So, oh man.
True.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're enjoying this episode of the Geekverse podcast. We're going to throw to some ads right now. So if you want to give you a fair minute warning, we don't get to choose the ads that come on here. So sometimes they can be a little bit loud. So I'm going to give you a nice 5-second countdown to turn down those headphones so you don't get a bleeding ear, or you're driving your car and all of a sudden you swerve into traffic. You don't want that. So help us support Geekverse. Listen to these ads. Keep the lights on in here. But you got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We'll be back in a second. So here's the trivia. Anyway, so 20th Century Fox, formerly 20th Century Fox, invited a group of scientists to preview this movie to test their reactions to the science used in the movie. None of the scientists were impressed with what they saw. However, most conceded it was an enjoyable nonsense movie. So there you go. So no one gave it the glowing pass. It was like, oh, this makes a lot of sense, but they enjoyed it for what it was. So there you go. In 2008, I'm not sure if I think it was like an accurate thing they were trying to do, but Yahoo Movies, shout out to Yahoo. I loved that browser back in the day. Listed.
You don't still use it?
Is it still a thing? I thought they were ending or closing, so I just started to not use it anymore.
I don't know. Couldn't tell you.
Cal, do you know?
I was just using sarcasm.
Are you still using Yahoo?
No, I haven't used Yahoo. I know it still exists, though.
I'm going to find out in a second. But this was listed in 2008 as one of the movies in the top 10 of the most scientific inaccurate movies of all time. So there you go. So I'm not sure if that was just them like kind of spitballing or if they actually looked at a bunch of movies. So, but I imagine it was. In the original script, Sam and his friends, aka Jake Gyllenhaal, were written as 11-year-olds. So that explains why Jake Gyllenhaal and the girl didn't fucking bang it on the library when they're about to die. Because the whole movie, I'm like, you gotta at least get like a hand job out of this, right? No, nothing. This girl, good luck for him the rest of his life. He can't even get any action when the world's ending. Good luck on a Tuesday at 8 p.m. before the screening of Day After Tomorrow Tuesdays. This movie was scripted to be 11-year-olds, but the director Roman Emmerich changed them to high school students for Jake Gyllenhaal. He had seen October Sky and asked, can Jake Gyllenhaal play a 17-year-old? So I'm not sure how old he was at the time of this. Obviously, he was older than 17 if he asked that question, but I'm not sure. But so it was originally 11-year-olds, and I think this makes more sense because I found all the actions they were doing in this a bit more believable for high school people than 11-year-olds,
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
But
you wouldn't send an 11-year-old up on his own, where they're just staying with random people.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's one of those movies, and like I'll actually forget it, or forgive movies for this. Dude, it's like hard to work with teenagers and to get teenagers believable. So you have to have people that are in like mid to early 20s pretending to be like 15, 16 again.
Yeah,
it's fine, but it's like the whole time I was like, yeah, okay. Jake Gyllenhaal's not a teenager, nor is any of these people.
Well,
they're all cool and assured of themselves.
That's where I'll correct you because
don't have any acne.
The female.
He was 24 in this movie.
Okay.
There you go. Kyle knows he knows the math.
So I think she was older when they filmed, but Emily Rosen was 15 when she auditioned for this film.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't. Kyle made a face, and this is why this goes to some of my notes. I don't know when the filming of it all, everything like that, but according to Roland Emmerich, the director, Emily Rosen gave Jake Gyllenhaal a deep, fresh French kiss during their first read together. And he also did say she was the 15-minute audition. So I don't know the timing of this all. I think there might be a little, like not the greatest look of stuff, but I don't know. I'm not gonna get into that. No one said anything, so, but yeah. Are you looking this up right now, Kyle?
Yeah, she's born in '86, so
So this came out 2004.
yeah. So she would have been 14, 15.
Yeah. So yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal just
Weird.
Yeah. There you go. We'll move along.
But at
Nine.
the same time, imagine you're a 15-year-old girl, and one of your first kisses is Jake Gyllenhaal.
Well, it's like Kirsten Dunst. Her first
She was
kiss was.
24. I feel
Yeah.
like that shouldn't happen.
That's what I was kind of
I'm not
insinuating.
saying that it's not weird, but like if you're like a teenage girl, like, oh my god, I just kissed Jake Gyllenhaal and got paid to do it.
100%. I'm sure she was fine. I'm not.
Weird.
I'm not insinuating anything of like, oh, it was against her will, or anything like that. I'm insinuating the Liam thing where it is like, oh, she saw October Sky and had a big crush on Jake Gyllenhaal. I just think it's kind of weird that 15 the age, but then what was like, oh crap, I can't remember what I was gonna say. But 9 special effects houses worked on this movie for over a year. Kind of makes sense of the amount of effects going on. There were some major doubts and concerns among the production team about having a major disaster hit New York City post 9/11. The sensitivity did not appear to be shared by New Yorkers, who take this with a grain of salt, but it says whenever it played in the Big Apple, audience whooped in delight with the city, or when the city gets hit by the enormous tidal wave. One, I'm sure maybe a screening or two in New York did that. I just don't think enough people were like, woo, like not because they were sad about like New York being destroyed. I just don't think many people whoop at movies unless they're like hardcore fanboys or fangirls, but that's just me.
No, it's more of an American thing.
You think
Every
so?
time I seem to go to school go to movies in the States or even in bigger cities, there's way more like audience engagement.
Yeah, I'm jealous.
Well, it just didn't seem to happen in Kelowna.
No.
And don't be jealous. It's actually awful when you're just watching a movie and people are like talking. You're like, shut the fuck up.
See, no,
Only
like
your friends think you're funny.
Stop laughing. It's just 22 Jump Street. Get over
Yeah,
yourself.
people get mad when you laugh too hard at comedy movies sometimes, Kyle. I don't know anything about that, but
I don't know anything either.
See, this is not for the joke, Liam, but like when I've seen some theory reactions to Endgame, I was like, man, I wish I was in that theater.
yeah, that's different. Though.
Yeah.
For you, that's a bit more of an event film.
Yeah.
Mm.
I already mentioned that. Yeah, they on purpose try to get a president and an actor or a president and vice president look like Dick Cheney and Bush. And they said this in the trivia. It was intended to be criticism of Bush and Cheney's administration against the opposition for reducing greenhouse gases emissions. So that intent was in there, but I think it was just kind of very 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 light.
Yeah, it's like when Bright talks to race. It's like, maybe this isn't the time to do this. Maybe you have like a little bit more of a deep You know what this was? This was if this is time to talk about politics, it's like when Green Book is talking about race. It's like, okay, clearly smarter people have done this before and done it a lot better.
Good movie. Green Book.
Green Book is it's a mediocre movie.
Best Picture winner, produced by Octavia Spencer. Best Mahershala Ali, one of the best.
Octavia Spencer produced that?
That's what everyone. So this is the thing. I'll go on just a quick rant. Everyone forgets this. Everyone talks about a bunch of white dudes, but she's on stage holding the fucking Oscar because she produced this thing. So it's just like maybe the message was bad, but it's funny. People are always like, these fucking white people really screwed up the story. What about Octavia Spencer? She was producing. Oh, we're not going to talk. Let's just ignore that she's a part of this equation. All these white guys, though, they just pretend she's not there. Or same with Mahershala Ali, but I digress.
I mean, just because one black person is involved in a project doesn't mean that it's like speaks for all black people.
I know, but always those two are always. It's always left.
Kyle, have you seen Green Book?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so the whole basic movie is like Mahershala Ali plays a pianist who's traveling through the southern states with Viggo Mortensen as his like bodyguard / driver. And then the whole movie is like Viggo Mortensen's a racist, but it turns out Mahershala Ali, who is also gay and a black guy, is actually really cool. Therefore, racism doesn't exist anymore.
I would say it's a little bare bones, Kyle.
Yeah, it's like looking at race as if we would look at race kind of like in the 90s or the 80s. Like it's not a very nuanced look, and you could tell that it was like, oh, why is the white guy still the main character in this? Like I don't know. It was not a Best Picture winner, that's for sure. It won Best Picture, but I think that's going to be a smudge as they look back on it.
I'd agree. Like I'm happy won Best Picture, but there's other choices I would have had. During the filming, Jake Gyllenhaal needed to use the restroom very badly, so he went in the water tank. So I'm guessing that was just in a bunch of tank that everyone was hanging out in. So that's great.
Kind of funny.
Yeah, and then my last note, just because this would have been a really, I think, different role and different casting. Emily Rosen accepted the role of Laura after Lindsay Lohan had to drop out due to scheduling conflicts. So
I'm sorry, did I hear that right?
Lindsay
Lindsay
Lohan,
Lohan?
yeah. She was the original choice. She was the first choice. She was casted, but she had to drop out because she was doing other projects. So
She's doing Mean Girls.
I think,
Because it came out
Okay.
the same year.
yeah, I guess so.
Mean
Yeah,
Girls is a far better film, and we should have watched that.
but is that a disaster movie though? Is that a end of the world movie, Liam?
It's a social disaster movie.
Yeah, it is.
End of your high school career movie.
Yeah, obviously.
But
bet.
yeah, stop trying to make it happen, Liam.
That's the thing.
Stop trying to make
Doesn't
Endgame a
even
thing,
go here.
Travis. What was I gonna say? Yeah, I just think that would have been a very different movie. One, I think this movie would have had a bit more star power because Dennis Quaid's the biggest star in this movie. Jake Gyllenhaal is now like retrospectively, but at that time he was still on the upbuild, right? He's not like a huge name. Brokeback Mountain hadn't happened yet, so I just feel like, and especially too, I feel like. I don't know. I don't know if she would have been more of a main character just because she was such a big star. I just feel like that dynamic too of her and Jake Gyllenhaal, that would have been something that I kind of wish we had seen just because I think it could have been, I'm not saying great, but just interesting. Those are two actors in my head that I don't pair together of being like working together, you know?
Yeah, I'll give you that. God damn, Brokeback Mountain was a good movie though.
It was. That should have won Best Picture.
That was a phenomenal. Kyle, have you seen Brokeback Mountain?
No, I have not seen Brokeback
Oh,
Mountain.
it's a beautiful film. Particularly that last scene when he like takes his shirt off the closet door. Oh my god.
Don't spoil it in case he ever
Well,
watches
he's not
it.
gonna know from that concept.
You don't
He's
know.
like, oh, there was a shirt in the closet. Wow.
Kyle
the whole fucking movie's
Kyle
ruined.
texted me and said he's going to watch it when you watch Endgame. He said those exact words. I have the text.
Dude, I'll do that. We can do that Netflix thing. I'll watch Endgame.
That's the
If
trade-off?
Yeah, if you watch that and I get to like see your reaction to it.
I'd be so
Brokeback
down. If we
Brokeback
Yeah, I'll watch it.
listeners, you
Okay.
heard it. You heard it. Within this year podcasting, we'll do a watch on Endgame, then we'll do a watch on Brokeback Mountain. My fans are gonna be like, they're gonna see all like even day after tomorrow. It's like, why is this movie? It's like, okay, disaster movie, and it's like a high budget. This makes sense. But one day they're gonna be on their iPhone, whatever, their Android. They're gonna see Brokeback Mountain commentary track pop up on their feed, and they're gonna be like, that's a weird choice for the geek verse, but. You know, it's kind of like Thanos says, a soul for a soul, right? You know, we had to give up something for Liam to see it, but that's all.
Sacrificed everything.
Exactly. What did it cost you? Brokeback Mountain. Yeah, so that's the end of my trivia. Kyle, what are your final thoughts on this movie? And if you want to drop a rating out of 10, what would you give it? And would you recommend it to, if they've watched this far along, who would you recommend it to if you wouldn't? Just like I said, your final encapsulating thoughts on The Day After Tomorrow.
I think my final thoughts is that it's just a kind of those mindless movies that you could just put on the background and do something else to and kind of go into it and look at it like, oh yeah, that's what's happening, and then kind of, turn your brain off and not really think about it again. I don't think it's very cliche, and again, gonna go back to it. It's a product of its time. It's just how it was written, and it's just kind of bad, but kind of good. I don't know. I think some people might really like it still, if they're kind of into those corny movies. So I'm still gonna give it like a 4 out of 10, just because the action sequence was still pretty good and it was a lot of fun. Some of the stuff was kind of fun to watch, but it was also awful. But I don't know. I felt bad, but I liked it enough.
Mm-hmm. Liam, your final thoughts and a score if you want to give it.
Kyle nailed it. 4 out of 10. I think is the perfect number for this movie. It's what I had put down when after I finished this movie. I don't know if I'd recommend it to anyone. Like, if you haven't seen it, I don't think it's worth your time. If you have seen it, it didn't age well. So if you're like, oh, I thought it was kind of an okay movie that I saw as a kid, leave it at that and keep that memory. Now's not the time that we need to fill ourselves with, oh, things were a lot better when I was younger, right? That's not the mood that we need right now in quarantine. Like, watch something more fun. Like the
Brokeback
Tiger King
Mountain.
show.
Or
The
the
King show
Tiger
was
King.
dope.
Are you watching Tiger King?
We're starting it. It's that movie. It's insane. I can't even put words to what that is.
I know, it's unreal.
The trailer in it itself was like, is this real? Is this scripted? Is this a joke? Like, it almost felt like an Office episode where you're like, yeah, Dwight is crazy, isn't he? He would have a tiger. Right? I don't know. Do that with your time. The day after tomorrow is not how you should waste your time.
Kyle,
Podcasts are.
Yeah. Yeah, see, that's why we talk about it so you don't have to listen to it. That's the way you go to. That's why I pitch it, right?
We just cut off an hour off that movie.
Yeah.
And we did it all.
It's true. It is a pretty long movie.
Kyle, you're watching Tiger King, yeah?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
Yeah. How far are you into it? What are your thoughts on it? Because, me and Emily finished it. And it's crazy from where you start to where it ends up. It takes a wild fucking ride. And it's just the best way I describe it, too, is like when you get far enough, you'll see what I mean, is the show feels like it's about Batman villains, but without Batman, because it's just about all separately these terrible, like, shitty people that all are semi, like, doing illegal things and are doing bad things. And it's just like watching this little organization, like, them fight each other. But how far are you into it? And what are you thinking about it?
Oh, I'm only on episode 3, I think, of it. It is unreal. It just goes 0 to 100 like real quick, and just takes all these twists and turns that I never expected from that show at all.
Yeah.
Or is it real life? Like I see what Liam says. Like, it feels kind of scripted, but it really isn't.
No.
Those people are just batshit crazy, man. Batshit fucking crazy.
It's Florida, so it makes sense.
Yeah. Shout out to our Florida listeners.
It's just like how Americans are like it just.
Whoa! I'm not gonna put that all on Americans.
Or is this just Florida?
We really hate to have a very strong opinion that's not in the mainstream.
Well, no, I'm not gonna.
People are not feeling great about right now.
Did you hear?
COVID.
Did you?
If it was a Disney product, would you be really into it?
100%. I get the subscription, the whole deal. No, Kyle just said the cast of Tiger King people.
Like some of the stereotypical stuff that you hear about America. I'm not American. It's kind of like you see this and you're like, oh, Americans crazy, and like you hear that all. So being in Australia as well too, like as soon as they know I'm from Canada, like they'll treat me like completely different. And if I'm from America, they're like, oh, we were just with these Americans the other day, and they just go off. And I'm sure, and actually I know I have a few friends who are American and met lots of dudes and girls as well too who are amazing, who are not like the stereotypes, but then there are the stereotypes, and then you see Tiger King, you're like, this just matches up with the stereotypes as well. So just like there's stereotypes for Canadians as well too, like there's stereotypes for everyone. So
100%, I believe you there to say like, oh, this makes sense. This is an American show. Kyle's statement was like, oh yeah, just Americans. Like it was just like, oh, these Americans are like. He's like, makes sense that this is Tiger King. Look at these Americans. Like that. That was my thing of like, I think
that would only happen in America.
I could agree. Yeah. I think it's the most likely to. Yeah.
Russia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you need like pockets where you're like, yeah, okay, we have no laws. Go do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And people really push it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, yeah. Why do we have legislation against owning tigers? Because it's Iowa and there's no goddamn tigers here. Yeah. So you wouldn't even think they need it. So then people exploit it. Every law that seems stupid is because somebody tried to exploit it.
Yeah. My final thoughts are the only way I'd recommend this or whatnot. I would say that I still think you could watch it with some friends and probably have a good time. If you've never seen this movie, if you want to watch long, and obviously it's hard to do that right now, but like we said, there is like the Netflix party, stuff like that. If you were to do something like that, I think there is enough so good aspects or so bad it's good. But yeah, I think I'm the same with Liam. Kyle hit the nail on the head with the 4 out of 10. I can't give it like even the 50%, but I can't go much lower than that because I don't watch this and go like this is one of the worst movies ever. I think there's lots of bad stuff in it, but I know I've seen a lot of worse movies. At least people like the effects are decently done. Like and that's one thing. There's no bad acting. I'd say maybe there might be some side people here and there, but the main actors, they're all. I think Jake Gyllenhaal is just kind of like Aaron Taylor Johnson, Godzilla. He's just very bland and has nothing to do. But I think it's like Kyle said. It's just he has not much to work with. There's no script. There's no characters. So I think he's doing the best he can. But he didn't do a performance where I went, oh, I think it's better to have a performance where it's bland than better to have a performance than him being awful and really standing up being like, man, he really shit the bed in this movie. So yeah, a 4 out of 10. That's the ride I'd go where just under a fail, but I can't pass it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we did. Do you guys have any parting words before we end this episode?
Oh, you should like do push-ups in your apartment, or do something that's like physical while you're in quarantine. It's like prison. You're gonna come out of this like getting jacked. Just do something that's not sitting on your ass the whole time. Like just try to be as active as you can. If you have a dog, take the dog for a walk.
I thought Liam was just aiming that at you and me, Kyle, and I was like, this is very strange. Just like, hey, you two.
No, just for anybody. Like, I try to do like 10 push-ups every like hour.
He couldn't.
So, by the end of the day, you end up doing 120 push-ups. More push-ups than I would have done regularly.
He only got to 31 and a half.
I feel like the whole isolation thing is a lot more in Canada than it is here. So, yeah. And here, I mean, in Australia, I should say that for the viewers. So listeners, so they know that I'm not in Canada as well.
Yeah.
It's like completely.
BC is beating the curve tentatively. It doesn't look like Australia will. So, socially isolate, be smart.
Australia as well, but we're also people who are going to Bondi Beach and still beaching it up, which I was just up the coast, so I'm part of the problem.
God damn it, Kyle. Think about other people's grandparents and like other young people that could die.
A stingray. It was cool.
Okay, that was kind of cool.
I will not endorse
but
that.
I can't condone that.
Yeah, can't condone that. Yeah, so you know what? This was fun. We've talked about it for a while. We finally got it to happen because of quarantine. But we'll try to do this again. Like we said, our aim was to try and do this once a month. One, because it's fun for everybody else, but two, it's just fun that us three we talk and chat. But it's good that we actually got to talk and mess around a little bit. So yeah, that was fun. I'm happy you two could finally join me on this.
Yeah, it was a good afternoon, fellas.
It was a good morning.
Or morning for Kyle.
Yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, as always, you know where to go. All the links are down below for the video and audio feeds. Go to geekverse.ca, go to our social media, go to Patreon. There's tons of stuff at the $1 level. There's tons of stuff at the $5 level. Right now, we're accepting movie requests. You guys, I'm not sure if Liam, you've seen this for the podcast, because similar thing, there's not much content. One of our patrons picked Darkman, so I'm not sure.
Oh, Darkman's dope.
Yeah, so we're reviewing that. I think everybody on the cast's first time except for me. Kyle, you ever seen Darkman?
No.
Yeah, it's a different movie. It's the same guy that directed the original Spider-Man ones. It's Liam Neeson. It's like a
Sam Raimi.
Yeah, it's like a
cool,
gothic horror film. So yeah, we're doing that. We're doing or some Snowpiercer is one of the movies we're doing. We're doing this Tom Cruise movie called Cocktail, which I've only seen a little bit of, but one of our patrons said
Cocktail's a piece of shit. Yeah, it's not great.
That's why he picked it. So that's pretty good. And then we're doing Steel. It's the Shaq superhero movie. If you've ever seen that, it's a character based off a Superman character. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a DC movie that probably no one's really ever heard of. But yeah, so we got some good stuff coming. But thank you very much for tuning in this episode, and we will see you later.
Rave, repeat. Did we do that at the end?
No, we didn't do that at the end.
Oh, okay.
I forgot about the last see you later.